Hello. So I'm going to go over the volunteer training. So I usually begin by introducing myself, telling the volunteers a little bit about my background, and then I'd ask to go around the room and for each person to say their name and how they heard about Coach Art. So do a little introduction with that. And then I go to the second slide and I just read our mission out loud and I tell the story of how we came to serve siblings as well as patients. And so that story is that during the beginning of Coach Art being a nonprofit, one of our co-founders, Leah, she was at a hospital event and she overheard a sibling ask her mother, "When is it my turn to get cancer?" And how that was a really big moment for us. And we kind of came back and reevaluated how chronic illness affects the entire family and how we want to serve the entire family. So that's how we came to serve both children impacted by chronic illness as well as their healthy siblings. I then go into defining how Coach Art defines a chronic physical illness, and we define one that as, sorry, we define a chronic physical illness as one that affects the physical part of the body, such as cancer, diabetes, asthma, and it requires 3 months or more of treatment or care. And it's important to know that none of our children are living with solely cognitive illnesses, and that's mainly because we know that our volunteers are not really equipped to handle those kind of situations. So all of our children are ones that are affected by a chronic physical illness, and they're ages 5 through 18. This is a pie chart of all the different illnesses that our children are living with, our Coach Art students are living with. And this is to reflect both offices, our LA office as well as our Bay Area office. In the Bay Area office, our top three illnesses that our children are living with are cancer, asthma, and blood diseases. And please let me know if you want any more information about those illnesses. And then I go into talking about the impact of chronic illness on a child and how um, there's a lot of added physical changes and mood changes, and it's really hard to keep and make friends because they're in and out of the hospital for treatments, and that they're often discouraged from participating in mainstream activities. So they're not usually part of an after school sports club or art club or something like that. And so Coach Art is really designed to create an atmosphere and a community where all these kids can feel like they can succeed through our adaptive programming. You can also go into the financial limitations about how the majority of our families are from a low income background and they really can't afford putting their child into guitar lessons or a city sports club on top of all their medical bills and things like that. Um, I would suggest putting something in about your own experience with arts and sports. So I talk a little bit about how when I first joined Coach Art, I wanted to reflect on my own childhood and um, examine how the role that sports and art played in my own childhood. And I realized at that moment that I played basketball every single day as a kid. I would just come home from school, do my homework, eat some Cheez-Its, and then play till the sun went down. And it made me happy, and it really was the truest form of happiness that I've ever felt. Um, and I think when you're having a rough childhood or you're having, difficult times in your life, sports can really be a very therapeutic thing and an outlet. And it provided me a way to make friends in my neighborhood and to just forget about whatever happened in my day. And so I'm a really big believer of what sports and art can do for a child, especially a child living with an illness. And then I go into a little bit about the impact of illness on the family, and I talk about how siblings can develop feelings of neglect and jealousy and isolation, and they don't really understand why one child is getting, presents or extra attention or getting to miss school. And so that's why we want to create a space where they understand kind of what's happening and they get to bond with their sibling through the programming. I also go into how our parents can be stressed and overwhelmed and protective. And it's really nice to see all the parents at every single Coach Art event just really happy and being able to kick back and know that their kid's going to have a really great time in this hour and a half lesson. And that feeling may carry on, for the week. We ask that our volunteers are very sensitive and embrace patience and are very flexible. So now you can click to part 2, and part 2 was recorded during an actual training, so you can kind of hear outside voices and things like that.